Thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Abuja Fire, coming to you from the Abuja studios of Kaftan Television. And like you know, on Abuja Fire, we'll catch you up to speed with everything happening here in the FCT. My name is Sandra Ago. But before I go into today's conversation, we'll go on a short break. And when we come back, I'll get to introduce you to our guests and our conversation continues. Stay with us. We love Abuja. And this is why we bring you events, reports, interviews, and everything relating to the FCT. This is Abuja File.
Stand before you today to accept the nomination of our party.
All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Abuja File coming to you from the Abuja studios of Kaftan Television. And now we've been joined by Habib, Gajo, and together we shall be taking a look at what went down on 25th February here in Abuja, which was the day for the presidential elections. Thank you so much for joining me on the program.
You're welcome, Sandra.
It's always beautiful to have you and get to have these conversations with you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now let's quickly, because I know that, I don't know if our viewers remember, on that particular day, you were reporting from your polling unit, and you gave us some updates as to what was happening at your polling unit at the time we had our conversations that day. Yes. So in general, like putting into consideration the 3 or 4 days collation and everything that went down from the day of the elections to this day, how would you rate the performance, and what was the expectation for these elections? And compare your expectations to the performance. What are your thoughts?
Our expectation was so high, seeing the preparation of INEC and readiness of the Nigerian police and the security agencies. We have a very good expectation. But at the end of the day, the outcome of the result now prove the transparency of the election, though there were problems, hitches here and there in some polling unit, in some area councils, in some wards, during collations and so on. We encounter a lot of problems. But we thank God, alhamdulillah, winners has emerged. We have winners, which unexpectedly Labour Party swept FCT
I was going to come to that. Did you in any way expect that Labour Party was going to win here in the FCT? Did you see that coming?
Yeah, I saw that coming. I know the what I expect the election should be will be very tight, because all the contestants, more especially the Senate, Erete Kingibe was vying for Senate since 2003 election.
Yes.
While Philip Aduda was in House of Rep since 2003. So Erete consistently was contesting the Senate from 2003, 2007, 2011, 2014, 15. You understand? So consistently she was contesting. And she was given a good fight, tough fight. She was a gallant politician.
She still is.
Yes, she never tires. She's my mother, but
aside the senatorial seat, which we'll get to talk about more, let's come down to the presidency or to the presidential elections. Did you see with Peter Obi, or did you imagine that Peter Obi was going to take the seat for the FCT in this presidential election? Because it was surprising to see that Peter Obi won here in the FCT. And we also want to take into consideration that Abuja is a northern state, even though it's this city is the central, the country's capital. It's still a northern state. So we were expecting the northern effect here, but that did not happen. And why do you think that did not happen?
Well, FCT is a federal capital territory of Nigeria, and it resides in north central of Nigeria. And the seat of power is here in FCT. So normally, the government in power always take advantage of the seat of power to manipulate. FCT has a minister who was appointed by the president, who is a member of the Federal Executive Council.
Yes.
So the ministers played very important role during election, but consistently, because the deep-rooted PDP in Abuja, in federal capital, so FCT always voted for PDP consistently.
Okay.
But this time around, people now change to Labour Party. Which favors Peter Obi. Let me add this to you. You see, in 2003, when Eriti contested, at that time, the winner of the election, General Olusegun Obasanjo, does not have 25% in FCT. And the Constitution says FCT, you must win 25% in every geopolitical zone, including FCT. So it was specific in the Constitution, including the FCT. I had a lot of argument about getting 25% in FCT. So at that time, we have to go rerun. Reti was contesting in AMPP. Isa Mena was contesting in PDP. Obasanjo was contesting in PDP. So all of them don't have 25%. So we went for a run, and PDP carried the day. So that's how Eriti lost out. Though she had a winning vote, but it wasn't on simple majority. It was based on the 25% loss, the Constitution and the INEC guideline. So that's how she lost out. But since then, she keep contesting.
And we must say a very big congratulations to Ibeti Kingebe. She has done, like you said, she has done a great job so far.
Yes.
And people, I think a lot of people were not expecting. I actually was not expecting that she was going to win this one, because we know that the FCT senator has been on seat for over 10 years. So we also just thought that it was just going to be one of those years where PDP gets to win the senatorial seat for the FCT, and it came as a very big a big surprise, a happy surprise actually, when the result was announced, and she took that from him. I think a lot of people didn't see that coming, and I am really happy for her. Okay, now let's continue our conversation as the role of the FCT at the seat of power in these elections. So most of the collation was done here in the FCT, and we saw all of the protests that went on in the FCT during the time of the collation, even after the collations, and even when the result was announced. There was no kind of jubilation, or everywhere just seemed like people just went on with their daily activities, more quiet than usual. There was more quietness in the FCT after the announcement of the election results. So all of this, okay, let's begin with the protests that occurred during and after the collations. During the collations, we saw different civil society organizations coming out to protest the collations at the ICC here in Abuja. You already made mention of how you had lots of expectations towards INEC and how they were not able to meet up to that expectation. So the protest we saw in FCT, do you think it was enough to have had an effect on what was going on inside ICC?
Sandra, let me tell Nigerians clearly that the elections were poorly collated.
Okay.
Because we are the grassroots. We are the party officials. We conducted the election. We participated in the election. We collated results from polling unit to collation center to ward collation center to local government collation center. But we have seen a lot of irregularities. What you brought from the polling unit, the result that was emanated from polling unit is not the one that is collated in the local government and state level.
Yes.
That's the anger of the people. That is why people are protesting. When the second results start coming, what you have from your from the polling unit to the local government is different from what the state INEC officials were, or returning officers, or the vice chancellors were returning. And this man kept collecting it despite the protest. And he refused to make any comment or remark on their those who are aggrieved. You understand?
True.
He's supposed to address them that, look, we are having issues on so, but please, can you compare your result and our result? Because that result is supposed to be on the board. This man kept collect result and put under the drawer, under his seat.
Not understand? Just on the board, it's supposed to be on the website, or people, it's supposed to be on Beavers uploaded so that people can actually follow up.
So that is why you see so much protest and lack of celebration. Who will celebrate a flawed and rigged election? Nobody. And me, I will advise the winner of the presidential election to come out and be a sportsman, to like what Musa Yar'Adua did. President Musa Yar'Adua did. Look, the election was poorly conducted, but I was a return winner. Please accept me. Then I will. Reform the electoral laws, and you understand. The president-elect is supposed to address Nigerians the way Yar'Adua did that, so that he can have legitimacy. You understand? But at that time, Yar'Adua kept his promise and reformed the Electoral Act. But this Professor Mahmoud refused to say anything, despite the aggression, and the whole world condemned the outcome of the election, the collation of the result.
Yes.
The African Union, European Union, internal observers and external observers. You understand? Former president of Nigeria, two of them came out and condemned the collation of the result. You understand? That's the not wish and the will of Nigerians. This is what we are saying, that despite there is a winner, you understand, but you have to talk to people, you have to engage people. You understand?
Yes.
Because if you notice, there is something that even the agent were not noticing. Look at the number of council vote is more than the winner votes. You see a winner winning 200 or 100 and something vote, while 300,000 votes were cancelled. invalid. You understand?
Yeah.
And you have a lot of, and if Professor Mahmoud asks the returning officer, is there any cancellation? There is a cancellation on so, how many polling unit? What is the reason? The reason was overvoted. So you see, they have not done their homework very well. So that's what affects the outcome of the election.
Because now you just brought us to the topic of overvoting. Because I was wondering, we have the beavers that does the not just beavers does bimodal mode of verifications. So when you have the beavers and somebody has been verified, why do we had lots of issues of overvoting in some units and some wards in around Nigeria? Let me not just say in the FCT here. And you're wondering, why did that happen? Because which might obviously just want to lead us to say maybe issues of rigging and all of that. But that aside, we know that happened in lots of polling units here in the FCT. But then still at that, we were expecting that or some other political parties were going to win. But it was surprising that Labour Party won here in the FCT. And we're also actually expecting that was going to reflect in other areas. And I want to ask, do you think Labour Party or the Peter Obi movement actually rubbed up on Ireti Kingibe?
Let me start by Vivas.
Okay.
You know, most of these electoral officers, most of them have compromised. Because if there is no compromise, what brought overvoting?
Yes.
You understand? They will the machine did not scan you. They will say, okay, go and vote. They will mark you. You will go and vote. And when they compare it with a number of accredited voters, you now got over voted. So the politicians some politicians use INEC staffs and manipulated the system. You understand? Secondly, the type of rigging we have seen in this election is one of the most sophisticated and systematic rigging.
Taking into consideration that because of the lack of the Naira notes, I don't think vote buying was something that was as common as it used to be in this particular election.
That's what I'm telling you, because the outcome of the election and the turnout of the election, you will see it clearly that Nigerians did not come out massively to vote.
True.
We have 93,000 eligible voters. How many, both the winners and the losers, how many elections is up to 20, is not up to 20 million. So what happened? What happened? And there was allegation of doctored result in some state. You understand? There is some state, if you put their result together, you see both both parties were having the same figures, yes. no difference. So these are the issue. So I think Professor Mahmoud, his time is off now. They should let him go. Let somebody come and do the needful and reform our electoral, so that people will have confidence in our democracy and in our electoral system. Because honestly, there was a systematic rigging, systematically, and there was a compromise by the staff of INEC, because despite there is no vote buy, you understand. But I learned that in some northern states, they were buying vote with spaghetti, macaroni, and indomie, which is so unfortunate.
That always happens. We know that has been one of the ways which votes are bought, you know, with food stuff and all of that, clothing materials and all of that. But I don't know, maybe because of where I'm sitting, I think that did not happen as much as it used to do.
No, let me tell you something, Sandra. You see, those who believe in movement, they stood their ground. Whatever you're going to give them, they're still on their movement.
Yes.
Like Labour Party is a movement, like NNPP is a movement. Like PDP and APC, they have their own traditional voters. You understand?
Yes.
100 years, they will not change. They will still vote for their party. You understand? They don't care whether you are this or that. They will still vote you. You understand? We have seen that. But if this movement is being allowed in future elections, we will have a very good, maybe a revolutionary government in future.
All right. Okay. Now let's move away a little bit from election matters and talk about something that came up. I think lots of Nigerians were waiting for the Supreme Court's verdict on the Naira redesign and all of that. And now the Supreme Court has come out to say the old Naira notes, 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes remain legal tender till the 31st of December. I don't know if I got it. Till December 2023. What are your thoughts on this? Did you see this the judgment? Did you predict that this was going to be the judgment of the Supreme Court? And I want to believe that the FCT was one of the regions, was one of the places that was most affected by this Naira redesign. Because I was speaking with my younger sister, and she made mention of the fact that she was in a school environment, and she said that she has not even had cash in a very long time because everything that she does, she has to do it with transfers, and because it's a school environment, they've gotten used to it. And she also made mention that in most places in Anambra State, they've gotten used to the transfer system and all of that. But I feel like for some reasons, people here in the FCT are still finding it very difficult to adjust. So did you predict that this Supreme Court judgment was going to pan out this way?
Honestly, I that's what I'm expecting from the Supreme Court, but it's not going to be good in our economy. You see, despite that Nigeria is one of the most cashless economy in the world. Okay. If you put UK, India, China, and the USA, you see some are 8%, some are, but Nigeria and I think India and United States of America, we are in 5%. You understand?
Yeah.
So that shows that our economy is more of cashless than the cash. But the outcome of the Supreme Court, you see, in democracy, there is what we call separation of power. All of this, they are arms of government. The presidency, the executive, the legislators, and the judiciary. All of them has a specific role to play. But when you come to separation of power, there is nowhere the Constitution says the Supreme Court can't interfere in the policy making and decision making of executive.
Okay.
That's what we know. That's what we understand. I'm a political scientist. I read about Thomas Hobbes in his theory. He identified the separation of powers. The Supreme Court or the court is to interpret the Constitution, and this policy has not contravened the Constitution. You understand?
Yes.
It has not contravened the Constitution and the CBN Act. You understand? But you can temper justice with mercy. That's what I will call it. That's what the Supreme Court did.
Okay. You also made mention. You said it's not good for the economy. Yes.
Yes, it's not good for the economy because we have already settled for cashless.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
Now they now brought us back again. You see the reason why...
Maybe because they just found out that the cashless is not working. Because you remember that in the president's speech, which he made after the Naira redesign, he made mention of the fact that it's a great policy, but it has been met with lots of complications. So don't you think that's one of the reasons why this policy was reversed? You said it's not good for the economy, we know that, but currently people are suffering. So what would have been a better way? You
see, I have told you several times in our previous interviews that the CBN failed to put a platform where everybody or all the commercial banks and individuals and the corporate organization can participate. You understand?
Yes.
For example, if it is easy for you to transfer, you don't need cash. You understand? If you can buy everything with your card or through transfer, it's more easier than for you. You understand? And it's more safer. You understand? But they didn't put the platform. Let me give you an example. India changed their money 24 hours and it works. Everybody return his money in 24 hours because they put all the platforms, you understand, everything, and they put everywhere. In your street, you can go and deposit your money and they will credit your account in your own street. But look at us here, going to the bank, sleeping in the banks. You understand? At the setback, I'm saying that the president have already addressed the nation that, look, 1,500 has already been destroyed, will not come back to the market. But 200 is there. 200 will be enough to circulate. You understand? So now Supreme Court will now start telling us.
And one will wonder where's the 1,000 naira and 500 naira going to return from.
You understand? So definitely, if people start bringing out 1,500, then definitely it's a hoarded money. You understand? Well, it's a stolen money. Because all legitimate money has gone back to the commercial institutions. So for the Supreme Court to come out and honestly is a setback to our economy. You know, anytime Supreme Court will make let them be very clear on their jurisdiction. You understand? Interfering in the policy of government, you know, honestly will not help our economy, more especially in the economy. You understand?
Because I want to also make mention of the fact that I think this whole issue of Naira redesign or the banking system here in the FCT is kind of a little bit difficult, taking into consideration the planning of the FCT. I'm going to use places that I'm quite familiar with. From Katampe Extension, where we are currently, on this same line, all the way to Kuba, or maybe I'm going too far, all the way to Dawaki, there's no bank on this line. Okay, I can say all the way to Duse Junction. I don't know, maybe there are some.
No,
inside
just say throughout up to Zuba.
There's no bank. So that means if anybody on this axis wants to use a bank, you have to go all the way to town, which I find very this. Okay, and I'll also say something. This is good. I think since I in the last 2 years, I've not paid a visit to the bank because of the distance of the bank from where I am currently. So most times when I ever had an issue with bank, I have to call them over the phone.
That's the benefit of cashless. Continue. That's the benefit of cashless.
But then, so in a situation whereby people have issues and they don't know their way around it, and they have to, because that's what I'm saying. I made reference to some people in some areas getting comfortable already with the cashless policy because it's easy for them to actually access services. So I'm now bringing us back to the conversation of Abuja not being able to adapt so easily because of the non-availability of banks. So if I have an issue, let's say you make a transaction to me and I'm unable to receive it, that means I have to go all the way to the bank, which I have to go into town to find somewhere to use the bank. So that's why I said this whole cashless policy thing, we have to fix a lot of things, and which might not be easy for the FCT because do you say we have to start coming up with new banking branches?
Yes. Sandra, let me.
But let's not also forget, when we talk about coming up with new things in the FCT, let's not forget the fact that Abuja has a master plan.
Yes.
I don't think this, if it was in the plan, it should be there already. Because like I said, from here, you also made mention of Zuba. Most of those places are occupied already. So where does the bank come in?
Now, let me give you an example. From AYA down to Zuba. There is no bank. How many filling stations are there? How many filling stations? You can count to more than 100 filling stations along this road. Why? Because the master plan provided the filling station and refused to provide banks. you understand? Now, if you go to city centers or area councils, or for example, in city center or Abuja Municipal Area Council, you can count how many banks are in Wuse City Center, Gwarampa, and you can count them. You understand? Even before the cashless policy, even before the redesign of Naira, always the bank are full. Oh, always you went bank, you must join long queue. You understand? If you go to ATM, you join a long queue even before the redesign of Naira. So that is why the CBN need, the commercial banks need to have more banks. You understand? More branches. But that has to do with the FCT plan and security architecture of the FCT. You understand?
Yes.
So, but you know, honestly, and Abuja people like spending cash. You understand? More especially those who are in city center, they deal with cash. There is a places that runs 24 hours. They deal with cash. You understand? And POS. That's the situation. And there is a lot of middle class people who now vanish to poor people. They use cash. All these small pure water, Coca-Cola, you can't pay them through transfer and POS. You understand? Even POS, some POS were designed from 1,000 naira. If you there was a time I went to pharmacy. I want to buy a paracetamol. You understand? And I don't have cash. I want to use. They said, Oga, you have to
spend up to 1,000.
To 1,000. You see, that's where the issue is. So people prefer to hold the cash. You understand? Like those who are using public transportation, they have to use cash. People who are going to market, when you did your provisions, the mebaro that will help you, you have to pay him with cash. Those who are selling selling foods, those food vendors, you pay them with cash because it's 300, 400, highest is 500. You understand? You have to pay them with cash. If you want to buy fruit, you understand?
You have to pay with cash.
Well, you have to pay with cash. This is how we found ourselves in the FCT. So is the Abuja, the FCT authorities need to work with the commercial banks to expand, because this has nothing to do with central bank.
All right.
You understand?
Yes. All right. I think with that, let's draw the curtain today on what's going on in the FCT, and I hope to have you.
And you cannot wish up my mother.
No, we already did that. Like I said earlier, congratulations to Madam Ireti Kingibe. We are so happy for you, ma.
Congratulations, Ireti Kingibe.
So thank you so much for joining us to talk about things that are going on in the FCT. We hope to have you some other time on the program.
Thank you very much.